this Google document?
There seems to be a problem with the main resolution with the lobby merge for the main submitter isn't really the Republic of France, it's the it's the United Kingdom. So the change should have been made on that. I think the resolution drafted on the RMS was a bit different to this resolution in terms of the main submitter. So the main submitter should be Kingdom. Yeah, thank you, the delegate of Germany for that. All right, the head chair will now, since the head chair recognizes that the resolution had some difficulties in terms of editing it from yesterday's session. The procedural chair is now live streaming the correct resolution on their screen. Delegates, please take note of this, and since the proper resolution is being submitted on the screen on the Zoom meeting currently, that is the real resolution. Can the procedural chair please share a link to this resolution if possible in the chat? And
the deputy chair shared the RMS link.
Yeah, the deputy chair has already shared this, so. Can the procedural chair please switch back to the main presentation? All right. The floor is now open to any delegates wishing to speak for or against the resolution. Are there any in the House? The delegate of Germany, you have been recognized.
Greetings, honorable delegates of the United Nations Environmental Assembly. This delegate would like to firstly appreciate the other submitters of this resolution for their hard work yesterday in putting the solution together, and would like to emphasize and bring to the House's attention the first clause of this resolution, which discusses taking early action, including the identification of extreme weather pattern risk and then assessing those prospects. This is a particularly valuable clause in the context of climate change, because knowledge, as they say, is power. And without the awareness and ability to predict areas of issue, such as those coming under the influence of climate change, even the best solutions will not be applied in an effective way if it's too late or if it's in the wrong location. This, along with other similarly valuable clauses that have different foci in this resolution, is what urges this delegate to encourage the House to vote in favor.
Thank you, Delegate. Is the Delegate open to any points of information?
Any and all?
The Delegate of Germany has opened themselves up to any points of information. Are there any such in the House? Delegate of China and Sri Lanka, you have been recognized.
Thank you, Delegate of Germany, for your speech. The delegate mentioned in his speech that he votes for this resolution. However, in clause number 4, when it calls for MEDCs to make financial contributions, what will be their incentives for these MEDCs to make contributions to the LEDCs? As in the clause or subclauses, there seems to be no clause specifying like what these MEDCs will be offered if they provide such subsidies.
The answer to the delegate's question is simple. Of course, thank you, delegate, for asking for clarification. Firstly, it is beneficial for nations to simply share their natural resources and other resources with the world. Secondly, climate change is an issue that affects all countries, irrespective of their economic development or other state. While it might affect some countries more than others, this is a shared planet. As such, MEDCs are incentivized to support funds against climate change and climate impact because they will benefit from those implementations.
Thank you, Delegate of Germany, for his speech. However, the delegate mentioned the importance of education in his speech and that how it allows such solutions to be passed. However, does the delegate realize that the primary reason why countries are not adhering to their goals of mitigating climate change is not because of education, not because they don't know about it, it's because they don't have the economic resources to do so, or they cannot do so because they are not eligible to do so?
This delegate would say that while economic limitations on addressing climate change is a problem, this is addressed in other clauses within the reso, like clause 4, information is still important because climate change is an ongoing process and knowledge about the future is continually changing.
The delegate. Right. Thank you, the delegate of Germany. Is the delegate of Germany open to any more points, or they'd like to yield back to the chair?
This delegate is open to more points if there is a motion to extend POIs, but as there was no motion, this delegate yields the floor back to the chair.
All right, that is an order. The floor is open once again to any and all delegates wishing to speak for or against this resolution. Are there any such in the House? The delegate of Germany, the delegate of China, you have been recognized.
Honorable chairs, fellow delegates, and most esteemed guests, the delegate of China would first like to congratulate the delegate of the United Kingdom of Great Britain.
The delegate of China, there seems to be some background noise coming.
Sorry, my bad. There's people around me. Okay, could the delegate restart?
Yes, that is an order.
Honorable chairs, fellow delegates, and most esteemed guests, the delegate of China would first like to congratulate the delegate of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland for writing such a resolution. However, he noticed some flaws in the resolution, such as he mentioned before, in clause number 4, when it calls for MEDCs to make financial contributions, the delegate does not see why these MEDCs will have certain initiatives to provide these aid or helps these LEDCs in the first place, if there's no actual approved or backed up plan that these LEDCs will provide them with, if these MEDCs help these LEDCs in the first place. Also, in clause number 3, on the urges of development and restoration of areas prone to climate change, the delegate believes that some of these resolutions or such solutions that are provided by this resolution is not feasible for certain LEDCs in the first place. Plus, he believes that the members of this House or this committee should create amendments so that they can fix the resolution so that this can help solve the resolution in a more feasible manner. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate of China. Is the delegate open to any points of information?
And
The delegate of China has opened themselves up to any and all points of information. Are there any such in the House? The delegate of the United Kingdom and the delegate of Germany, you have been recognized in that order.
Delegate of China, thank you for pointing the need for clarification out, but this delegate needs to know that which area will there need, will some of these changes being like not feasible?
Thank you, delegate, for your question. The delegate believes that the feasibility issue is because some of these delegates or MEDCs does not have the actual means to help these LEDCs if they do not have the subsidies to provide for them in the first place. And for the feasibility in clause number 3, he believes that some of the development or restoration of these areas in these LEDCs require large sums of money or resources. Thus, he believes that certain LEDCs will not be able to be have enough sufficient resources to restore these economic factors, environmental factors, because they do not have the resources. Thus, he believes why this is not feasible.
Delegate of Germany, you may now state your POI.
Thank you, Delegate, for the speech. Given that the delegation of China has implied that countries, MEDCs, will not support financially without some kind of tangible incentive, does the delegate of China not recognize that the protection of the climate of this planet, which all nations share, is not incentive enough?
Thank you, Delegate of Germany, for your POI. However, the delegate believes that many of these environmental rehabs or certain restoration programs require really big, large sums of money. Billions of dollars are going to get put into these restoration projects. And these MEDCs, if they do not have certain feasible payback or certain actual feasible resources that would provide to them if they help these LEDCs, they will not be incentivized to simply help on and on and on forever until these problems are solved. The delegate does notice that the problem of climate change itself might be a feasible incentive. However, he believes that more incentives need to be provided for these MEDCs to join actually helping these LEDCs solve this problem of climate change. Thank you.
Follow up, Chair.
Granted.
Thank you for clarifying that, delegation of China. Given that the delegate has identified a benefit to providing more incentives to MEDCs, what incentives might the delegate think are suitable?
Certain benefits or incentives might be allowing these MEDCs to build companies or certain factories in these LEDCs and use these lands so that they can actually be used for useful purposes. Then I believe that certain MEDCs will actually be more willing to go into these LEDCs so that they can actually help them environmentally and also benefit economically at the same time. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate of China. Would the Delegate of China would like to yield the floor back to a chair or to another delegate?
Back to the chair.
That is an order. The floor is once again open to any delegates wishing to vote for or wishing to speak for or against the resolution. Are there any such in the House? The Republic of Indonesia, you have been recognized.
Firstly, this delegate would like to congratulate the delegates of the United Kingdom, Germany, and Sweden on their resolution, but would like to draw your attention to Clause 5. Clause 5 brings up the solution of all member nations joining Paris Agreement and setting sustainable development goals, but this is not feasible for many LEDCs, as the Delegate of China has mentioned. And these LEDCs do not have extensive funding for sustainable development. Therefore, this delegate would like to bring up the idea that this resolution is more directed at MEDCs than LEDCs, and some points are not as feasible for LEDCs. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Is the delegate open to any points of information?
Any and all.
The delegate of Indonesia has opened themselves up to any and all points of information. Are there any such in the House? The delegate of Germany, you have been recognized.
The delegate of Germany appreciates Indonesia's speech and would like to ask, regarding the apparent financial limitations for LEDCs in Clause 5, would the delegate not say that the climate funds listed in Clause 4 could be used by LEDCs in their efforts?
This delegate agrees that the climate funds could be used in this effort, but this is not specific in Clause 5, so this delegate would recommend an amendment to Clause 5 to specify the means of funding for LEDCs.
Right. Thank you, delegate. Would the delegate like to yield the floor back to the chair or to another delegate?
This delegate yields back to the chair.
That is an order. The floor is once again open to any delegates wishing to speak for or against the resolution. Are there any such in the House? The delegate of United Kingdom, you have been recognized.
This delegate would go for the resolution since it asks for accountability in MEDCs to provide and support a lot of LEDCs country, while also take initiatives in actions for climate change determined from past conferences like COP26 and the Paris Agreement, while LEDCs in this delegate opinion should take initiatives also, since in this resolution clause 4 they have provided most nations in previous conferences have provided funds to take this initiative, and like even though the delegate of China have said before that it may be not feasible for all under like certain conditions, but those nations using the fund could do it themselves. It is in their scope of responsibility, and MEDCs here will help to provide fundings, consultations, whatever needed. Yes.
Thank you, Delegate of United Kingdom. Is the Delegate of United Kingdom open to any POIs?
This delegate will be open to 2 POIs.
The Delegate of the United Kingdom has opened themselves up to 2 POIs. Are there any such in the House? The delegate of Sri Lanka and the Republic of Indonesia, you have been recognized in that order.
Well, thank you, Delegate of UK, for making her speech. However, is the delegate aware that LEDCs have a lot of trouble focusing on renewable energy sources, although they do know that that is the right way toward mitigating climate change, because they do not have the economic capabilities to do so? And if so, what other solutions does the delegate propose?
The delegate would propose for MEDCs, this is to target MEDCs, to stop financing coal-powered, but instead finance other renewable sources such as solar or wind in LEDCs places. And
Follow-up?
Granted.
However, coal as an energy source is the cheapest way for LEDCs to create their own energy. And that is the primary reason why they cannot shift to better renewable energy sources, because they do require more economic effort. And would there be a way to provide more aid to these underdeveloped countries?
Sorry, oh wait, this delegate needs a bit of time to think, but it will be a transition, of course, and even though this delegate and other countries would like to for the change in climate and like to reduce climate change as fast as possible, this delegate is aware that there will be LEDCs that do not have economic factors, but if there could be, and raise awareness to fundings for like technological information and finding like affordable renewable sources, then this delegate will highly encourage for those researchers and someday finance those researches to be not to be conducted, but to be used for LEDCs.
The delegate of the Republic of Indonesia, can you please state your POI?
This delegate thanks the delegate of the United Kingdom for their speech, but would like to question the feasibility of this venture, as many LEDCs not only don't have the funding, but don't have the space or means to install sustainable development, and would like to direct her attention to the fact that MEDCs are have some of the highest rates of carbon emissions, and therefore shouldn't the funds be focused instead of sustainable development in LEDC countries, installing more sustainable development in countries with high carbon emissions, which are often MEDC countries. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate of Indonesia, for such a fascinating questions. This delegate will answer it by countries, MEDC's countries, MEDC's countries are trying to solutions such as ETS or other solutions that could cap off the carbon emissions in industrial and economics energy sector. While this delegate acknowledges that there are LEDCs countries that will not have the space provided, it will like this delegate said before, MEDCs will also take the initiatives to find solutions and find that could provide renewable energy to the LEDC needed, but to alternate the main source, coal-powered, there should be transitions, and then there should be could this delegate yield the floor to someone?
That is not an order. Delegate of the United Kingdom, can you please give your closing remarks to the POI of the Republic of Indonesia?
Therefore, this delegate will made the conclusion that MEDCs and LEDCs both should find the, how do you say this? The short-term solutions to solve this problem, while we will fund researches that could find renewable energy for LEDCs in the long run or in this future. Yes.
May this delegate request a follow-up?
That's not granted. The delegate of United Kingdom, thank you, the delegate of United Kingdom. With the delegate of United Kingdom, you like to yield the floor back to the chair or to another delegate?
This delegate would like to yield the floor to Germany.
Does the delegate of Germany accept the yield?
Yes, this delegate accepts.
That's an order. Can the delegate of Germany please state their remarks? Yeah.
Yes, Chair. Thank you, Chair. Germany would like to firstly thank the UK and all of the delegates who have participated in the debate thus far in pointing out strong points about this resolution, as well as potential areas of improvement. With that in mind, the delegate would like to encourage delegates to submit amendments which they view as valuable. Thus far, Indonesia and China have both said they have ideas which this delegate would be interested in seeing debated. While thus far much of the discussion has been circling climate change itself, this delegate would like to move closer to the issue at hand, climate migrants, by drawing the House's attention to Clause 3. Clause 3 is regarding areas prone to climate change-related damages, i.e., the areas where climate migrants come from. As this clause aims to keep people from needing to move away from their original place of living, this delegate believes that this clause would help this resolution in limiting the number of people in need and in disaster. With this clause and the other proposed solutions in mind, the delegate would like to urge the House to vote in favor of this resolution.
Thank you, delegate. Is the delegate open to any POIs?
Any and all pertaining to his speech.
The delegate of Germany has opened themselves up to any and all points of information pertaining to the speech. Are there any such in the House? The delegate, the head chair would like to inform all of the delegates in the House to please raise their hands after the POIs have been called. But anyways, the delegate of the Republic of Indonesia and the delegate of Vietnam, you have all been recognized in that order.
This delegate would like to thank the delegate of Germany for their speech, but would like to bring up the fact that climate migrants are already being displaced due to flooding that is already happening. And therefore, although stopping climate change would help from displacing more, this delegate would like to bring up that there are already climate migrants, and therefore we should focus more on the climate migrants that are already existing than stopping climate change. Thank you.
Point of information to the chair.
I don't think the delegate of Indonesia cannot yield back to the chair. The delegate of Germany will respond back to your POI.
Point of information to the chair.
Yes.
Was there a question within what the delegate of Indonesia said?
Can the delegate of Indonesia please state their point of information which is pertaining to the speech?
This delegate apologized for confusion, but would like to question the delegate of Germany on the fact that many climate migrants are already displaced, and therefore shouldn't we be focusing more on helping those already displaced than stopping climate change before it displaces more?
This delegate would like to thank Indonesia for that POI and is aware that ongoing climate change has displaced people, causing climate migrants, and would like to draw the House's attention to Clause 2, which does offer some solutions regarding the relocation of potential climate migrants, which also includes the provision of logistical and financial aid to those accepting new migrants.
The delegate of Vietnam, can you please state your POI? Delegate of Vietnam, I think your microphone is muted. You can unmute your microphone by either clicking the unmute mute my audio button, or just pressing Alt+A. That's the shortcut. Alt. Yep.
There were some problems with this delegate's laptop. This delegate would like to wonders where these. This delegate would like to ask the delegate of Germany. Won't this just in clause 3, restoring the areas that are already affected by climate change, won't it just delay make the problems worse by delaying the impact?
Germany would like to thank Vietnam for their POI and would like to say that delaying the impact of an issue is not inherently a bad thing, as this grants valuable time to countries and nations and people to better prepare themselves for climate migrants.
Thank you, Delegate.
This is a point of personal privilege to the chair, but where do we submit amendments?
Oh, it seems like the head chair is disconnected. So as for the question of amendments, the delegates can message the deputy chair, which is me, privately, and the chair will answer your amendment. Seeing that the head chair is no longer in this conference, the deputy chair will be taking over. So thank you, Delegate of Germany. Would the Delegate of Germany like to yield the floor back to the chair or to another delegate?
The delegate yields the floor to the chair.
Thank you, Delegate. The floor is now once again open to any delegates wishing to speak for or against the resolution. Are there any in the House? The delegate of Netherlands, you have been recognized.
Hello, fellow delegates and esteemed chairs, and the delegate of the Netherlands appreciate the great speech of other delegates. And this delegate proposes an amendment to clause 5. The solution mentioned in Clause 5 are not suitable for the issue of climate migrants, given that the treaties such as Paris Agreement and Climate Act are long-term goals, and given that the currently rapidly increasing number of climate migrants is an urgent problem that needs immediate solution. This means that even though member states can mitigate climate change in long term by fully committing to international treaties, they will not be able to solve the current urgent issue of climate migrants, which needs immediate solution rather than long-term prospective goals. Thank you. This delegate yields the rest of his time to the chair.
Thank you, delegate. Is the delegate open to any points of information?
Any and all.
The delegate has opened himself up to any and all points of information. Are there any in the House? Okay.
Point of information to the chair.
Yes, Grant.
Given that this is apparently an amendment submission, could the amendment text please be displayed on screen?
The chair hasn't received amendment proposal from the delegate of Netherlands yet, so there isn't a slides made.
Point of personal privilege.
Yes.
This delegate would like to let the deputy chair know that they have submitted an amendment.
Oh. I mean, is this the proposal
It's
from?
not pertaining to the Netherlands. It's unrelated.
Yes.
Yes.
The chair knows that. So, okay. Seeing that there is no points of information, would the delegate like to yield the floor back to the chair or to another delegate?
Back to the chair, please.
Thank you, delegate. The floor is now open to any delegates wishing to speak for or against the resolution. Are there any in the House? The delegate of Republic of Indonesia, you have been recognized.
The delegate would like to thank the delegates of Germany and the UK for their well-written resolution, but would like to bring up the fact that although this resolution focuses on the stopping of climate change, it does not have as many clauses on climate migrants as there should be to solve this inherent problem. Therefore, this delegate urges others to not vote for this, as it focuses more on climate change and stopping climate change before migrants are created, then it focuses on aiding migrants that already exist. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate. Is the delegate open to any points of information?
1 POI.
The delegate has opened herself up to 1 POI. Is there any delegates in the wishing to speak at this time? The delegate of United Kingdom.
The delegate of Indonesia, please take a look at clause 2, which will solve the potential and the current problem of climate change, of climate migrants, as it allows the extension of FMAs and logistical support. So would the delegate like to reconsider?
This delegate thanks the delegate of the United Kingdom. Although this clause pertains to climate migrants, many other clauses do not. Multiple other ones specifically pertain to climate change, which, although that is one solution to climate migrants, there's a whole vast array of other solutions that could be put in place, and many of them are not covered. Thank you.
Follow up.
Granted.
What is some solutions that the delegate of Indonesia would like to propose?
This this delegate will respond to the delegate of the United Kingdom in note form.
Would the delegate of Indonesia yield the floor back to the chair or to another delegate?
This delegate would like to yield to the chair.
Thank you, delegate. The floor is now once again open to any points of any delegates wishing to speak for or against the resolution. Are there any in the House?
I have a question to the chair. Like after submitting, oh, sorry.
It's hard to message and share at the simultaneously. So please keep in mind that the chair is working on it. The delegate of Germany, you have been recognized.
Thank you, Chair. Also, this delegate believes the head chair is now back in the Zoom room.
The head chair would like to say that the building where the head chair is living in, the head chair's building were affected. And the head chair would like to apologize for the inconvenience, but I think the deputy chair was presenting right now. So the head chair would like the deputy chair to continue. After deputy chair, can I please?
Point of personal privilege pertaining to audibility.
Delegate of Germany, hello. Delegate of Deputy Chair, hello.
Yes.
What was being done when I just arrived? When I just rejoined the Zoom call?
We were just continuing the debate and getting some amendments, proposals.
Amendments, okay. Deputy Chair, please continue after, with the amendment, and after the amendment has been made, you can yield to me.
May this delegate proceed with his speech.
Yes.
The delegation of Germany would like to thank the House for the further interest in this resolution through POIs and speeches and submitted amendments, and would like to address the concerns raised by the delegation of Indonesia in their previous speech. The delegate argued that this resolution should not be passed because it has solutions for climate migrants and climate change and does not do enough in terms of climate change. However, the delegation of Germany argues that though it does not fully concentrate on climate migrants, this resolution still does have a large degree of solutions targeted specifically towards them, namely clauses 1, 2, and 3. Furthermore, this delegate would like to point out that simply not doing enough is a limited reason for voting against a resolution, as a resolution can be added upon. So these proposed solutions, if passed, can be amended or they can be increased in greater number through later resolutions passed. As such, this delegate would like to argue that this resolution is, at the very, very least, a beginning step in the journey to take actions against the flow of, towards the flow of climate migrants. And this delegate would also like to ask that this delegate plans to yield the floor to a delegate so that they may entertain their amendment.
Thank you, delegate. the amendments are not yet approved, so the floor is now once again open to delegates wishing to speak for or against the resolution. Are there any in the House?
Point of order.
Yes.
This delegate was not asked if he would like to
Oh,
entertain POIs.
does the delegate of Germany accept any points of information?
Any and all from a delegation which has not yet spoken today.
The delegate of Germany has opened himself up to any and all points of information from the delegates who haven't yet to participate. Is there any delegates wishing to speak at this time? Seeing that there is none, would the delegate of Germany like to yield the floor back to the chair or to another delegate?
The delegate of Germany yields the floor to the chair.
Yes, thank you, delegate. The floor is now once again open to any points, any delegates wishing to speak for or against the resolution. Are there any in the House? The delegate of Sweden, you have been recognized.
The delegate of Sweden speaks for this resolution as it addresses the issue of climate migrants in highly impacted regions, and it further aims to take the problem of climate change from the root by encouraging the main contributors of climate change, which are MEDC countries, to adhere to climate change goals as addressed in clause number 4, and which is an effort to reduce future climate migrants in the future, which would reduce the problem of climate migrants in the whole.
Thank you, delegate. Is the delegate open to any points of information?
The delegate is open to 1 point of information.
The delegate has opened herself up to 1 point of information. Are there any in the House? The delegate of Indonesia, you have been recognized.
This delegate would like to thank the delegate of Sweden for their speech, but would like to point out that although stopping climate change before it displaces more climate migrants would be beneficial, it would not completely solve the problem, and therefore a resolution that should be passed should focus mainly on stopping climate migrants from being displaced and aiding climate migrants that already exist, although there should be limit clauses on climate change. Thank you.
The delegate of Sweden thanks the delegate of Indonesia for their speech, and the delegate of Sweden would like to answer that point of information by saying that clause number 2 addresses the relocation of climate migrants, and further cooperative clauses on climate change would likely and effectively fix the issue of climate migrants in the future, as it would reduce the amount of people that would be impelled to flee to other countries, as it would reduce the issue of climate change in their areas.
Motion to extend POIs.
Granted.
Second.
Wait, didn't the delegate of Sweden take only 1 POI? I guess not granted. So would the delegate of Sweden like to yield the floor back to the chair or to another delegate?
Back to the chair.
Thank you, delegate. The floor is now once again open to any delegates wishing to speak for or against the resolution. Are there any in the House? The delegate of Indonesia, you have been recognized.
This delegate would like to encourage member states that have not spoken today to speak up about this resolution and fight against it getting passed, as it is inadequate in some areas, although it is very well written in others. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Is the delegate open to any points of information?
This delegate is open to any and all POIs from delegates who have not spoken today.
The delegate of Indonesia has opened herself to any and all points of information to from the delegates who haven't yet participated in conference today. Are there any delegates wishing to speak at this time? The delegate of Republic of Fiji, you have been recognized.
Thank you for this speech. This delegate is wondering, in operative clause 4, how would each MEDC countries determine how much money they need to pay for LEDCs?
Although this is a good question pertaining to the resolution, it does not exactly pertain to the speech that the delegate of Indonesia has given, as the delegate was giving a speech against the resolution instead of for, and therefore cannot answer on the behalf of the delegates of Germany, the United Kingdom, Sweden. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate. Would the delegate like to yield the floor back to the chair or to another delegate?
This delegate would like to yield back to the chair.
Thank you, delegate. The chair, the deputy chair would like to yield the chairing rights to the head chair.
Right. The yield has been accepted. Procedural chair, can you please display the amendment on the screen? There has been an amendment made by the delegate of Indonesia who requests to add to clause 5 with funding for LEDCs to initiate these extensive projects from MEDCs and additional private sectors. Can the delegate of Indonesia please state their Can the delegate of Indonesia please state their reasons for, please rise and state the reasons for adding or making this amendment to this clause?
Point of information to the chair.
Yes.
For the purposes of formatting and context, where in the clause is this being added?
This is being added to the main clause as a subclause G.
Noted with thanks.
Yep.
This delegate would like to praise the well-written clause 5, but would like to bring up how this clause is mainly focused on MEDCs and does not focus on LEDCs as much as it should, as LEDCs often do not have the capacity to install reasonably sourced electricity plans and other expensive projects that this clause recommends. Therefore, this amendment is calling upon MEDCs and other private sectors to aid the LEDCs in the installation of these projects. And this delegate urges you to vote for this amendment, as it is very helpful to LEDCs and it is a good addition to clause 5. Thank you.
Thank you. Delegate of Indonesia. The head chair is facing facing a little bit of connectivity issues, so the head chair would like to yield to the deputy chair to continue this amendment.
Accepted. So would does the delegate of Indonesia accept any points of information?
Any all pertaining to the amendment at hand.
The delegate of Indonesia has opened herself up to any and all points of information pertaining to the amendment. Is there any delegates wishing to speak at this time? The delegate of Sri Lanka, United Kingdom, and Germany, you have been recognized in that order.
Thank you, Delegate of the Republic of Indonesia, for her amendment. However, does the delegate not realize that this amendment actually fosters an unhealthy over-reliance on MEDCs and is redundant, since Operative Clause 4 already calls on MEDCs to make financial contributions to fund LEDCs?
This delegate thanks the delegate of Sri Lanka for their POI, but would like to focus on the fact that although this Operative Clause 4 does focus on MEDC's funding, Operative Clause 5 does not, and therefore it is unclear on how LEDCs are going to fund these projects. Therefore, this amendment calls upon LEDCs, but also calls upon additional private sectors, therefore taking the whole load off of MEDCs. Thank you.
The delegate of United Kingdom, please give your POI.
The POI this delegate has already been answered prior.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now then, the delegate of Germany, please give your POI.
Germany would like to thank Indonesia for offering this addition to the resolution and would like to ask, could the delegate of Indonesia please give an example of how this could benefit, as Germany feels this could illustrate to the House how this amendment is a beneficial one?
This delegate thanks the delegate of Germany for their informative question and would like to bring up the fact that many delegates from this resolution have brought up, in that every country has the responsibility to stop climate change, as this is a problem that will affect us all, and therefore LEDCs do have a responsibility to stop climate change, but they do not often have enough funding, and therefore helping LEDCs to gain funding for projects that would help stop climate change would be beneficial to us all, as climate change is an issue that will eventually cause damage for everybody, and therefore stopping it will be beneficial to everybody. Thank you.
Yes, the delegate of Sweden.
The delegate of Sweden thanks the delegate of Indonesia for this request. Does the delegate of Indonesia not see the Operative Clause 4, which calls for MEDCs to make financial contributions by funds to LEDCs? And therefore, this request for amendments is redundant, as Sri Lanka, the delegate of Sri Lanka has already mentioned.
This delegate has observed Operative Clause 4, but would like to bring your attention to Operative Clause 5, which is unclear on how LEDCs will get funding. And when looked at alone, it is not clear on how the LEDCs will put these projects in place. And when looking at a resolution, one has to take into account each clause on its own. And although Operative Clause 4 does state that LEDC member states could get funding from MEDCs. Operative Clause 5 does not, and therefore it is lacking. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Would the delegate like to yield the floor back to the chair or to another delegate?
This delegate would like to yield to the delegate of Germany.
Does the delegate of Germany accept this yield?
Yes.
Okay, that is in order.
The delegation of Germany would like to thank the delegate of Indonesia for their amendment and speech and informative answers to POIs. And with regard to the seeming redundance of this amendment, Germany would like to point out that a clause is not redundant if it offers further clarity to something that is initially vague and uncertain. As this amendment stands, it offers clarity on how funding will be applied and benefits this operative clause so as to create a more comprehensive solution against the issue. As such, Germany would like to urge the House to vote in favor of this amendment.
Thank you, Delegate. Does the delegate of Germany accept any points of information?
Any and all from those who have not yet spoken?
The delegate of Germany has opened himself up to any and all points of information from the delegates who haven't yet to participate. Are there any delegates wishing to speak at this time? Seeing that there is none, would the delegate of Germany like to yield the floor back to the chair or to another delegate?
As this delegate believes second-degree yields are not in order, the delegate yields the floor to the chair.
Okay, thank you, delegate. The deputy chair yields the chairing rights to the head chair.
Accepted. The floor is once again open to any and all. The deputy chair has actually raised a motion for a break, but the head chair would like to extend the debate time for this amendment to a little more. So floor is once again open to any and all points of information. Any and all points of information